Tim Mack is up there with one of the most talented bowlers we have ever seen. He is probably the greatest amateur bowler of all time, but this success as an amateur never translated to the Pro Tour. He has won over 70 titles in 30 countries on 5 continents and is a 5-time Amateur Bowler of the Year. Yet despite this incredible success as an amateur, he never managed to win a PBA title, and in my opinion, this gives him the unofficial title of the best bowler to have never won a professional title. In this video, we're going to look at Mack's career, including his attempt at making it on the Pro Tour and why things didn't go the way he had hoped. As mentioned in the intro, Mack had many successful years winning tournaments all over the world. It was in 2003 that he decided to make the transition to the PBA Tour, and being 32 years of age at the time, this was quite late on in his career to be making his debut as a pro. But this is where things started to go wrong for Mack. He made the decision to try and bowl the PBA events and then continue with the amateur circuit during the off-season. I suppose part of him was trying to have the best of both worlds and also have a bit of insurance in case he wasn't successful on the professional tour. But it was still a huge decision for Mack because things were going very well for him. Another thing that made the decision even harder was that by joining the PBA, he would be ineligible to bowl tournaments in Asia, and this is where his amateur career had begun and also where he had his biggest following. In the end though, Mack decided this was the right time to join, as the PBA Tour was going through a great deal of change at the time. However, he had picked up a shoulder injury at the end of 2002 that he was not aware of. When he joined the PBA Tour, this injury got progressively worse, and after only a handful of tournaments on the PBA, he had to undergo surgery to deal with this shoulder injury. This sidelined him for a long time, and his injuries were extremely severe. Now, considering he was injured at the time, his very brief stint on the PBA was a small success. His first tournament in Chicago, he finished in the top 8 and had some other good finishes in that period too. So it was a pretty encouraging start, but ultimately his shoulder injury could not be ignored. Here's a quote from Mack from an interview written by Dick Evans in March 2006. "Knowing what I know now, I would not have joined the PBA Tour when I did. I would have waited until my shoulder was healed so that everyone, including myself, would see what I am capable of achieving. I feel as though my PBA experience was only a shell of Tim Mack. I had higher expectations of the entire PBA experience, and I hope that those expectations and my goals can be reached someday." It was basically 2 years on the sidelines for Mack, and 2006 would be the year that he planned to start bowling competitively once again. He would in fact win the 2006 Bahrain Open. Unfortunately, it did become a PBA title event later on, but at the time that Mack won it, it was not. So clearly Mack had the ability to win, he just had to remain healthy. But unfortunately, remaining healthy was something his body just didn't want to do. He also started to battle knee injuries from this point onwards too. Mack eventually gave the PBA another go in 2008 and played in 16 events, cashing in 6, but only taking home just over $7,000. He played 17 events in 2009, and this was a better season for him as he cashed in 11 events and also made the match play round 5 times and earned a total of almost $28,000. But again, injuries would strike and things really went downhill in 2010 with only 3 cashes for a total of $4,000. It would then be a 3-year hiatus for Mack, and he was just never able to replicate what he achieved on the world stage as an amateur, simply because his body wouldn't let him. To give you an idea of just how many injuries he had over the years, 14 years after his first huge injury, he was bowling in the 2017 Open Championships in Las Vegas, and Mack could barely walk. In fact, he couldn't even take a full approach. He was actually bowling on one leg using a one-step approach. Following this championship, he had surgery on his knee, and essentially he went through 19 odd months of rehab, and even after all that, he said that nothing had actually changed. This led to knee surgery in December of 2018, which would be the 7th knee surgery of his career. All of these injuries just derailed his career, and he just never had the chance to establish himself on the Pro Tour, which is why I think he's so underrated. He was, in my opinion, the greatest amateur ever, and the sad part about this story is that Mack really didn't do anything wrong. He just had absolutely horrendous luck when it came to injuries. Unfortunately, he just made his PBA debut at the wrong time, but of course this was not Mack's fault because he had no idea he was carrying that shoulder injury at the time. He did absolutely everything he could to get himself healthy enough to compete and went through endless amounts of rehab, surgeries, training, and while we did see him come back and win tournaments after these awful injuries, he just could never seem to get himself healthy enough to win a PBA title. It was simply a combination of incredibly bad luck and freakish recurring injuries that stopped Mack from translating his amateur success to the pros. Mack did captain Team USA for several years at the Weber Cup, and in recent years he's been involved with the PBA League as team manager for the Portland Lumberjacks, where they won the Elias Cup team title in 2019, 2020 and 2022. He also made a television appearance in 2021 at the PBA King of the Lanes event at age 50, and this was his first television appearance as a bowler in over 10 years, and Mack lost his only match to the eventual winner, Jason Sterner. All in all, I regard Tim Mack as the greatest amateur bowler we've ever seen, and ultimately, he did deserve to win a PBA title based on his talent, but it just wasn't to be, and he will go down as one of the best to never win a PBA title. And that will bring us to an end of today's video. I know Tim Mack is a very, very popular bowler all around the world just because of how much success he's had throughout his bowling career and how much he's given to the game. And as I said, it's just such a shame that injuries really did derail his career and we just never got to see what Mack was truly capable of on the Pro Tour. And if he had managed to remain healthy throughout his career, who knows how many titles he could have won. Now, as always, I'd like to thank you all for watching this video, and if you have enjoyed what you've seen and you'd like me to make more videos just like this one, I would really appreciate it if you would click the subscribe button below, and as always, I'd love to hear from you in the comment section too. That will be all for today, and as always, thank you bowling fans, and see you all next time.